Dear precious learners, my name is Mr. Paul Chilola, your teacher on this platform. Without wasting your precious time, we are going to go through a chemistry paper, paper 1, which was written by candidates in the Central Eastern Education Division. This is an education district, Central East Education Division. Schools that are in this division wrote this paper, chemistry paper. So I thought it could be right and proper for me to make a video lesson to revise with you this paper. So welcome once again. My name is Mr. Paul Chilola, your teacher. And this is your school called Black Slides Online Secondary School. Don't hesitate to reach out to me in case you have questions relating to the discussion. And if you're one of the candidates in this education division, don't hesitate also to send me a text message on the number that I've been sharing on this platform. So we are going to go through this paper together. Welcome, learners. Invite your friends. If you're watching this video lesson on YouTube, consider subscribing to the channel and also invite your friends wherever they may be to join us, subscribe to the channel so that they can also learn. Welcome, learners. Remember that this paper contains 13 printed pages divided into two sections, A and B, where section A has 10 questions and section B has 3 questions. I always encourage my students to know the paper structure of their exam. If you're writing the 2026 MSc exams, make sure you know that chemistry paper 1 has 13 questions, of which section A has 10 questions, which invite short answers, and section B has 3 questions containing 30 marks, and it consists of what are called restricted questions or essays. You need to write a little bit of descriptive answers. So welcome once again, learners. Here at Black Slides, we try our best to prepare our students well. So section A, question number 1, is asking you to give an example of a waste that can be disposed in a fume chamber. A fume chamber is also called the fume cupboard. It's used for carrying out experiments involving gases, or that experiments that produce gases, noxious gases, toxic gases. So to safely carry out such experiments, the experiments are better and safely done in what are called fume chambers. Another name for a fume chamber is a fume cupboard. In case your teacher didn't highlight that part, make sure you recall that the fume chamber is used for carrying out experiments that produce obnoxious gases or poisonous gases, toxic gases. Welcome, learners. So the question the examiner is asking us to give one example of a waste that can be disposed in a fume chamber. Chemical reactions that produce any of these are better and safely carried out in a fume chamber. So the question is asking you to mention any waste. Remember that a waste is a product from a chemical reaction such that such a product cannot be used again in another experiment. So mostly reactions that produce poisonous gases, chlorine, hydrogen chloride, which is highly corrosive, sulfur dioxide, which affects the respiratory system, and carcinogenic solids. Carcinogenic solids are those that cause cancer if they are ingested. So reactions that produce any of these are better and safely done in a fume chamber. So mention any one of these. You have 1 mark. Don't list all of them. Just mention one, because the question is asking you for one example of a waste that can be deposited, that can be disposed in a fume chamber or a fume cupboard. So make sure you know all these so that you can state anyone. You can state anyone. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Paul Chilola, your teacher, once again. Number 1B, describe the test to determine the presence of hydrogen gas. How can you tell that a given gas is hydrogen gas? So you need to carry out a simple test, and the examiner is asking you to state that test. So describe the test to determine the presence of hydrogen gas. So what the examiner is asking you to say is this: put a burning splint, like a matchstick. You light a matchstick while it's still burning. You put it at the mouth of a test tube. By saying that, you have 1 mark containing gas, and a pop sound is produced. In other words, we say a pop squeaky sound. It goes like a poo, poo, because hydrogen is explosive. So there's going to be a small explosion. That shows you that there's hydrogen gas. 2 marks. The 2 marks are for you to say that put a burning splint at the mouth of a test tube, 1 mark, containing a gas, and a pop sound is produced. So this response contains what you do and the result that could be observed. 2 marks altogether. Welcome, learners. Make sure you know the different tests of different gases. Carbon dioxide, you'd use the lime water. Remember that lime water makes carbon dioxide makes lime water, turns lime water milky. Chlorine is going to bleach a damp litmus paper. Ammonia gas shall turn a red litmus paper blue to show that it's a base. Oxygen is going to relight a glowing splint. You need to know all those tests, and also including the test of anions and cations, because this falls under the qualitative analysis of substances. Identification of gases, identification of water, identification of anions and the cations. That falls under the same topic. This is just by way. trying to highlight the areas that you need to look at. Question number C, 1C. Mention any one reagent that can be used to identify aqueous cation. What's a cation? Cation is a positive charge or a positive ion. Aqueous cation means positive ions present in water-like solutions. So what reagent would you use? The examiner is asking you to name any of these. You can use aqueous sodium hydroxide. You can also use aqueous ammonia. And please, may I ask you to go back to this testing for aqueous cations, because these would give different results, especially on the formation of the precipitates. Formation of precipitates. So go back and look at testing for cations, just to make sure, to be sure. Number 2. Mention any two similarities between diamond and silicon dioxide. Remember that silicon dioxide is contained in sand, and the diamond is a form, an allotrope of carbon. These two have similarities that you candidates need to know and be able to give in an exam. Make sure you know all of them. Both of them are hard, very hard. Think of sand, silicon dioxide, very hard. Diamond. There's an expression in English that it takes a diamond to scratch another diamond, because it's very, very hard. There's no material that can put a mark on the diamond, because it's considered to be one of the hardest elements that have ever been known by man. All right, so diamond, silicon dioxide, which is sand, are very, very hard materials. That's their similarity. And other than that, both have high melting and boiling points. The melting points and the boiling points are very, very high. Both do not conduct electricity. In other words, they are both nonmetals. And remember that for a material to be a nonmetal, it means that it doesn't have free electrons. Only materials that have freely conducting electrons will conduct electricity. But for diamond and the silicon dioxide, these two don't conduct electricity. That's the property or characteristic or similarities they share in common. And both are insoluble in water. Try to dissolve diamond and silicon dioxide, sand. This will not dissolve in water, not even a bit. Try dissolving sand in water. Will it dissolve? No, it won't. It's insoluble in water. To be, explain why graphite conducts electricity. For any material to conduct electricity at all, it must have free electrons. So ideally, each carbon atom bonds with only 3 others, leaving 1 valence electron. So it's the presence of the electron, the valence electron per atom, that helps it to conduct electricity. This is 3 marks. So first mark, each carbon atom bonds with only 3 others, that's 1 mark, leaving 1 valence electron, that's 1 mark, per atom, delocalized and free to move. Or if you simply say that graphite contains free electrons, that's 1 mark, which conduct electricity. That's another mark, like 2 marks altogether. For a material to conduct electricity, it must have free conducting electrons. Number C, to see, there's a figure here which shows a substance called ammonium. This is ammonium, NH3. question is, by using an arrow, identify the dative bond. Dative bond. Remember that in a dative bond, one of the bonding atoms contributes all the bonding electrons. So let's see. Here, if you look at, let me enlarge this a little bit for you. If you look at nitrogen and hydrogen, this hydrogen over here, you appreciate that nitrogen and hydrogen are sharing equal electrons here. So it cannot be this. We have used cross and dots here. Similarly, here, there's a cross and dot, meaning that the hydrogen, this nitrogen and hydrogen are sharing electrons equally. Similarly here. But if you look at this, hydrogen is not contributing anything. All the both bonding electrons are coming from nitrogen. Look here. That means a dative bond exists here. By the way, did you know where dative bond, the name came from? It comes from the word date, D-A-T-E. In a date, like where a man and a woman are dating, listen carefully, I want to make a point and relate to the dating bond, dative bond. In a relationship, like a love relationship between a man and a woman, a boy, girl who are dating, what happens? The one who has proposed the date to say, let's go for a date, is the one to shoulder all the costs. He's the one to pay for meals, to pay for accommodation, and everything else in a date. If you are a man, you propose to have a date to meet your girlfriend. Be prepared to pay all the cost for meals, for accommodation if you'd like to spend the night there. You are the one to pay for everything. If you are a woman, also you'd like to have a date, and you propose a date, and you want to shoulder all the costs and everything else, you are the ones to pay for it. In a dative bond, only one atom contributes all the electrons, bonding electrons. These two electrons, which are lone pair electrons on nitrogen, are the ones being used to bond with hydrogen. Just like in dating, you do have one person or partner to pay for everything that is involved in the dating process. That was just by the way. Don't take me too seriously on that. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. Welcome to the platform. This is Black Slides Online Secondary School. So therefore, the arrow is going to be, we can draw the arrow here. The arrow, just draw the arrow pointing that way. Yeah, just the arrow pointing from nitrogen to this hydrogen. You can draw it proper, a bit more proper than I would. Explain the formation of the bond formed. So what's going on is that the nitrogen atom in a molecule of ammonia, this is not ammonia, it's ammonium. There's a difference between ammonia and the ammonium. Ammonia is NH3, ammonium is NH4, this is ammonium. All right, so nitrogen atom in a molecule of ammonia, having a lone pair, donates to the hydrogen ion, both bonding electrons. The lone pair is the one being donated to hydrogen. And then a covalent bond, which is called additive covalent bond is formed. D. Mention any alloy that is used for making surgical instruments. Alright, so the one common one is the stainless steel. Remember that stainless steel has the properties of being non-corrosive, long-lasting, durable. Alright, so that's the one that needs to be given. Study organic compounds A, B, C, D, and answer questions that follow. Maybe first of all, we need to identify what is this CH3COCH3. This is an acanone. As you can see, there's an alkyl group on both ends of the carbonyl group, so this is an acanone. This must be a carboxylic acid. Let's see this. This must be an ester, I think. Yeah, figure out what this is, and this must be an alcohol. Let's try to come up with their proper names. This is the propanone. This is propanone. This must be ethanoic acid. Yes. This must be an ethyl ethanoate, I guess so. But you can figure out, come up with the proper name. And then we have ethanol. This must be ethanol. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilora. Let's look at the questions related to this. All right, so the question is, name the compounds A and B. All right, so lovely. So this is the propanone. This must be propanone because the carbonyl group has two methyl groups on both ends. So this must be a propanone. And this must be an ester. I think this is an ester. So what's the name of this ester? It is made from an alcohol with two carbon atoms and an acid with two carbon atoms as well. So this must be ethyl ethanoate. This is ethyl ethanoate. And this is ethanoic acid, while this is ethanol, if you were asked to name these things. Make sure you go back to your notes. Yeah, so this is A is propanone, like I just said. Then we have ethyl ethanoate. This is an ester. How do you know an ester? An ester has this kind of structure. You have an alcohol one end and then you have an acid the other end. If you have two oxygen atoms before and the two carbon atoms, that tells you that it's an ester. This is an alcohol with an OH group. These are not very difficult things to name. Welcome, learners. Give 2 uses of D. D is an alcohol. So alcohols are used for a number of purposes. Among them, an alcohol can be used as a solvent, can be used as a varnish, making varnishes for polishing floors, inks. It can be used in the making of glues. It can be used for making alcoholic drinks. Don't drink alcoholic drinks. They're not good for you. It can be used for fuel and also perfumes. Any of these, just mention any two. You have 2 marks there. Number D, describe how you can distinguish compounds C and D. Let's go back and C and D. Let's see. C is an acid, yes, and the D is an alcohol, so we can use acid test. Right, so can you distinguish the two? In order to distinguish these 4 marks, let's see where the 4 marks are coming from. Put a sample of sodium hydroxide into a test tube. So get a little bit of sodium hydroxide into a test tube, add a phenolphthalein indicator to each one of them, add either C or D in each test tube, and observe color change. C, which is an acid, will turn colorless while they will remain pink. Okay, so the change in color from being pink to colorless means that the substance is acidic, because acids decolorize the color of the phenolphthalein indicator in a base, while others remain unchanged. So you have 4 marks there to reckon with. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. Number 4. Define a weak base. Define a weak base. We shall define a weak base as simply one that ionizes or forms ions partially in water to give few hydroxide ions. That's the definition of a base. Figure below is a chemical equation to show what happens when hydrochloric acid and ammonia mixed. You have ammonium and chloride ions being formed. Welcome, learners. I want you to tell me where you are watching this video from. On YouTube, the school you go to. Then tell me if you would like me to continue with the revision of this paper. I'll be glad. Indicate that I should continue. Just in the comment section say continue. I will continue. Tell me where you are learning from, which school you go to, and whether you are writing this year's MSc exams or not. My name once again is Mr. Pochilola. Bye-bye.